Guys, today we're going to be reviewing episode 1 and 2 of the newest hit animated series, Gachiakuta. Now, I'm going to stick with the confidence that I've said that name in and assume that that's how you pronounce it. I'm not 100% sure though, so let me know down in the comments if I've completely butchered it and made an ass out of myself on how you say the name of this fabulous series that I've just found. I watched episode 1 and 2 last night and instantly fell in love with it. It really had me on the edge of my seat and really had me looking forward to the newest episodes that are coming out. It is airing in dub and sub back to back. So if you guys are dub-only anime fans, you'll be able to watch this as well with everyone else. Modern-day anime being released like this, it doesn't register in my mind. I remember back in the day where we had to wait till a series got 150 episodes ahead of something before it even started getting a dub. So seeing this is just really crazy. But the main character of this new series is called Rudo. He's a boy about, I would say, approximately 15, 16 years of age. We don't get specific on that. But he lives in the slums of a place that is later referred to as the Sphere World. He's grown up, he's spent his whole life in the slums. All we know about his parentage is that his father was someone who abandoned him in the process of killing other people. He went on a rage and murdered people and was executed. Now, he was executed in a very specific way that we'll get into very, very soon. But he was raised by his foster father, Regto. Now, this seemed to be a very kind man who may have had some kind of relationship with his biological father, but he was very kind and he took care of Rudo despite living in poverty himself. He made sure that he was always clothed and always had food on his table. He also has some medical knowledge. We later come to find out that Rudo, he's a silver-haired young boy that wears these thick gloves. And they kind of, if you've watched My Hero Academia, they kind of look like the gloves that Izuku ends up wearing. Regto, though, gave him these gloves because Rudo's actual arms are covered in what kind of looks like burn marks, or a little bit like he's been cursed in somehow, because he's got all these dark arms with red veins and stuff popping around them. And it was very ominous to people, and it caused people a lot of unease. And Regto could see how Rudo was being treated by the others from these deformities, if you will. So he made Rudo these special gloves, and Rudo really came to treasure these gloves. And the treasuring of these gloves is the center point of the ideology that we see in this series. Because Regto tells Rudo that if you cherish an inanimate object enough, that object will come to have a soul. Now, this concept of inanimate objects having souls is a very, very big driving point of this series. Because the biggest talking point, the biggest conclusion takeaway of this show is that it's all about trash. Yes. How people so wantedly and easily discard possessions that will otherwise be truly valuable to another group of people, and they dispose of them and they get rid of them. Because while Rudo lives in poverty, on the other side of that, everyone else is living a very lavish and a very luxurious lifestyle, where the minute something gets damaged, the minute something doesn't taste good, it gets thrown out immediately, thrown in the trash. Not just thrown out, but really kind of looked down upon. They will not have filth in this city whatsoever. And Rudo believes that this stuff that these people are throwing out is wasteful, that these things can have souls. So he goes and rummages through the rubbish and trash that these people who are living more of a lavish lifestyle. I don't believe we've got a name for these people or the city that they have, but the trash that they get rid of. And he rummages through it, and this is where we first get introduced to him in the series, because a bunch of guards catch him going through this stuff and open fire on him and chase him. And we immediately see that Rudo has above average levels of physical capabilities. He's kind of like dodging bullets, jumping up to high places that you never possibly be able to do in real life. So we obviously see that he's superhuman in some way, and we get more of a knowledge on that at the end of the episode. But he imagines he is eventually able to get away, and we definitely see that this is something that he's done more than once. He ends up going to Regto and showing Regto's medical experience. He's able to patch him out and stuff like this, and this seems like a common occurrence for Rudo to do. The wordage, the philosophy that Regto taught him as a kid has definitely stuck. As this is happening, we see an interaction with a girl named... Oh, I'm completely blanking. I wrote it down. Chiwa. Brunette, demure little girl named Chiwa, who, out of everyone here other than Regto, of course, seems to not treat Rudo badly. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, the emotions that the author makes us feel for Rudo here gets completely flipped by this conniving skank. Not a skank, but not a good character, and one that I think the fan base will very much be hating on in the future, because she presents herself as someone very nice to Rudo, someone that looks upon him as an actual person, compared to the other people in the slums that treat him with disrespect and disdain. Because even though they're all part of the slums, they're all living in the same levels of poverty, because Rudo's father killed someone and caused their people as a whole, the tribesmen as they're called, to have more security on them. His fellow brethren that live in the slums hate him as well. Not to mention he has the added fortune of having cursed arms, which makes him more of a pariah in his own place of residence. It's sad to see someone who's already being persecuted by the people living a more lavish lifestyle is also being persecuted by the people who should be treating him with the same level of respect as they're treating the others in the slums. And that's something that we see, that Rudo, wherever he goes, is treated as an outcast, treated with disrespect. And that plays a big part because he eventually meets a man named Enjin. And we'll get into him soon. I fell in love with that character as soon as I was introduced. But we see that Chiwa holds respect for Rudo, and Rudo has a crush on her. And part of when he was rummaging through the trash, he found a doll, if you would, this little dog soft toy that he stitched back together and gave it to her because he thought she might like it. And she accepted. But tragedy strikes, because Rudo goes back home and his foster father, Regto, has been stabbed by a masked individual. Enraged at seeing his foster father be stabbed, Rudo charges at this masked assailant, but he gets completely knocked out into the side of the wall. As he wakes up, he rushes over to his father's side, tries to take the blade out, gets blood all over him. Regto is telling him, you need to leave now, Rudo. Regto, in this fully state of mind, doesn't know exactly why Rudo needs to leave in terms of, the authorities coming, but he knows that this isn't the place for him to be right now, and Rudo, you need to go. Rudo doesn't listen, though, because he's saying, I'll get you help, don't worry, because he's a kid and he's watching his father die. But unfortunately, as this is happening, the authorities burst in. They see him with blood on him. They restrain him. They immediately accuse him of being the perpetrator, without listening to Rudo's commentary on, this wasn't me. I'm not the one that stabbed him. I have blood on me because I was trying to save him. He's my father. This is a kid, and they are immediately thinking that this person is responsible for Regto's death. And even though they don't care about Regto because they consider him a lesser person for being born in the slums, murder is still murder, and they're going to penalize Rudo for that, regardless of trying to find evidence to the contrary to it. It's just an example of how much they think lesser of these people in the slums, how much they consider them trash. And in their world, trash gets disposed of. And where does it get disposed of? It gets disposed of in the pit. What's the pit? We're about to find out. So Rudo gets captured. He gets strung up on these ropes hanging over this gaping chasm of this. It stretches on beyond the eye can see, of just this blackness that the people of the sphere dump all their trash down. This is how they get rid of it, because they're not going to have trash in their pristine, perfect city. So all the trash, all the filth goes into the pit. Now, Rudo is being strung up. He's protesting, like, I didn't do it. Don't do this to me, please. I'm one of you. And they're not listening, because why are they going to communicate with trash? And to see his own people who live in the tribe, in the slums, look at him with the feelings of, good, finally, good riddance. You've been a curse on us since the moment you were born. Go away. And as he's looking at all these faces, looking at him with scorn, he sees the masked individual that killed Regto, and he looks at him enraged. And he sees Chiwa, the girl that he cares about, look at him in disgust. She drops the toy that he gave her and turns her back on him, saying that, I didn't think you were a murderer. And this is kind of like the breaking point for Rudo as well, because now that Regto's gone, now that Chiwa's turned his back on him, he has absolutely no one. He's reached his darkest hour. He's gone as far down as he can go. He has reached the pit, essentially, without even reaching it yet. But they quarter him and drop him into the pit, and he falls. He's falling down this massive black hole where you can't even see the bottom. And somehow he survives. And this isn't a common occurrence. These people that get executed seem to die. Whether or not they die just from the fall, I imagine most of them would. But there are these trash monsters that are roaming about in this pit that we'll get into in a moment. But this concept of a pit is very, very reminiscent to the Greek Tartaros pit. And these trash monsters that we see are they play the role of the Titans. There are these kaiju titan giant trash monsters. And in my opinion, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, Greek mythology, Titans. When you look up to the sphere world, as it's come to be called, the way they look so down on trash, the way that the country is segregated into the slums and the noble city, is very, very reminiscent as well to the Grey Terminal in One Piece, where Luffy was raised. If you're a One Piece fan, you've probably caught on to that, which I think is a really, really cool detail. But this pit world, we later find out that there are human beings living here. And I think that the pit world is supposed to be the human world, their version of Earth, what we have. So I'm looking at this as our world is the pit. It has been filled with trash. This trash has sprang these monstrous creatures, and the island floating around this pit, this Earth world, is known as the Sphere. And that, to me, is people have gone and created this floating island and ascended from Earth up into the sky, a little bit like, let's keep it One Piece related, since that's what we cover on this channel, a little bit like the celestial dragons that live on the upper world and look down on the people below. That's the type of vibes that I was getting. But these trash monsters that we see, they're really, really powerful. And just being another Tartaros resemblance, actually, that the pit has, is that even just breathing in here is feeling like razor blades are going into Rudo's lungs. He's coughing up blood. It is so hard to even breathe. the smell in the air is nauseating because it is just nothing but trash everywhere as far as the eye can see. The only thing that isn't trash is the hulking monsters, which are trash as well. So it is all trash, but some of it is sentient that's trying to kill Rudo. Rudo he's just had this massive fall. His lungs are being torn apart. In this weakened state, these monsters are beating him around. But as this is happening, Rudo's thinking on, what just happened to him, how everyone just turned their back on him, how they tried to execute him, but more importantly, the masked man that killed his father. Enraged, he gets up and he grabs just a discarded trash pole. Another One Piece reference, Luffy and Sabo. I wouldn't be surprised if this author was a One Piece fan, but he grabs this pole and he starts beating these trash monsters. He's hitting them with it and they're kind of crumbling apart in pieces, but they're reforming with all the trash around him. He picks up things like these old roof metal sheets and he's attacking with that. And it seems to be having some sort of effect. Energy is blasting off of it, kind of giving us a heads up about, hey, Rudo might have some special power here beyond just physical capabilities. But his strength wanes here. You got to remember that he's in a compromised state from everything that he's experiencing here, where he's not being able to get the upper hands on these kaiju monsters for any longer. And it goes up on its hind legs like this beast, and boom, brings down its front hooves, paws, legs, whatever you want to use to describe it, onto the ground, and a massive shockwave spreads throughout the area, doing massive AoE damage. Rudo gets caught up in this shockwave, and he gets blasted across all this trash. That would be doing even more damage to him. It's not like he's just being thrown onto a flat surface. And as he comes to a halt, as the monster goes down to attack him again, this masked individual saves Rudo. We later find out that this man's name is Enjin. Now, it's not spelt like the English version of Engine. It's got like a Japanese spelling. It's like Enjin. So it's probably pronounced more like Enjin, but I realize I just said Enjin then as well, and that's what we're going to be calling you. Even if it might be pronounced a little bit different, Enjin just sounds so cool. And this man he stole the show for me. So he appears and he's telling Rudo, shh, we need to be quiet. I'll tell you everything later. But Rudo's not hearing that. He's like, and it's fair enough because he's in total belittlement. He's in this whole new world and he's like, no, tell me, where are we? What are those things? Who are you? And Enjin keeps whispering, and we also find out that Rudo just can't hear him. He's like, what are you saying? And then Enjin, out of frustration for Rudo not listening to him, loses it. I told you to shut up and be quiet. And he's just going off at him, and now Enjin is the one that's the problem. He's lost his cool, he's blown his temper, and he's yelling at Rudo. And we later find out that these kaiju trash monsters are attracted to sound. So he's bringing them all over to them. And as he does, they attack him, and he whips out an umbrella. Yes, a tattered old umbrella. Goddamn Mary Poppins here is going to go hog wild on these not mechanical, it looks mechanical because of the CGI nature of it all, but these trash monsters. He pulls it out and he essentially goes Shikai. Let's get a Bleach reference in there. Lots of Bleach references in the power system of this anime. Because he has this tattered old umbrella, it gets enveloped in yellow energy and turns into a more sophisticated, deadly version of an umbrella. The umbrella sheet bits usually sprout blades, and the tip of the umbrella forms like a spear. And this can rotate at will. So these trash monsters go to collide with Enjin. He brings out his umbrella. It spins like a vortex in a shield manner, and these kaiju monsters just get split apart. And they form up in a line to go and attack him, and Enjin just like superhuman speed, blitzes over. He's taking them all down with his umbrella. He's piercing them all. They're exploding. Enjin jumps off. Rudo's looking in utter wonder, like, he's able to destroy and kill these things. Who in the world is he? How does he have that weapon? If I had that, I would be able to go and avenge my father. So we're already getting the ideas that Rudo is wanting to, pursue this power to get revenge. But Enjin can use his umbrella to not just pierce people like with a spear and rotate like a shield, but he can also use it to make a pseudo levitation flying ability by kind of opening the umbrella and using it to glide. Very, very much like Mary Poppins. He goes up into the air though with it. He kind of brings it down and he uses this, it's a sick name. He calls it the Unbreaker Octa Shredder. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great name. The weapon expands, and then it kind of goes flat, and the 8 blades of the umbrella get spread out. He jumps on top and drills down at supersonic speed. Yellow energy's glistening off, and he atomizes this trash kaiju that he's attacking. The blades of his umbrella, can't believe I'm saying that, but yes, his umbrella, spread in this massive wide radius into the earth. It does that much damage. But just the Unbreaker Octa Shredder, that is such a great name. I don't know if that would be his Bonkai attack, or if it was just like his most powerful version of Shikai, if we continue with these Bleach references. But he takes Rudo with him. He kind of chains him up after the monsters have been defeated, because Rudo is just bugging him with all these questions, like, who are you people? Where am I? What's going on? And we get through Enjin that Rudo comes from the sphere world, and that it's not so simple to get back up to the sphere. The way Enjin is speaking about it, it seems like no one's ever really gone back up there from the lower world. So that's probably going to be a big narrative point of the series. Well, obviously it is, because Rudo wants to get back up there. But the means to do it is probably going to be an arc in and of itself. So, Enjin... oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm trying to get a video out, but this sickness is just... It's not letting go of me. If I'm sounding a little bit nasally as well, I apologize. But Enjin's having enough of Rudo's complaints, so he's like, fine, I'll get someone else to deal with you. And he kind of throws him at what looks like a gas station, essentially. And these 5 men walk over, and they're like, they're wearing these like super ominous masks, and Rudo's like, who the hell are these people? But they take the masks off, and they turn into like massive fanboys, like, oh my god, it's a spherorite. Why do they have to be called that? I'm never going to be able to pronounce that properly. Because the people that live on the sphere world are obviously spherorites. You're going to have to bear with me with the pronunciation on that. But these are people that these lower world people who live in the pit have never seen before. Never seen a living one, at least. Because they either die by the fall, which I imagine most of them do, or they get killed by these kaiju monsters. And for a while, it's really great writing, because it gives us a bit of a sense of security with how much they're fanboying over Rudo. That we're kind of thinking like, oh, these people might not be so bad, but then the back of our minds, like, why did Enjin... He gave Rudo to them ominously, like something bad was going to happen. And yes, something bad does happen. They chain him up again in the back of a truck, and they go completely, like, twisted, mentally deranged, like, we love Spherites so much because we love to torture them. Everyone just has these desires, these resentments of you people who just throw your trash on us, destroy our crops because of all the toxic and corrosion that's happening from the trash. You ruin our lives, and we are going to get back at you. We're going to make your life living hell. And he grabs this lower world leader of these people, grab these food disgusting scraps, and he's force feeding Rudo all of these. But Rudo is someone that's been living his life in trash. He sees value in it. So he's not eating this in disgust. He's looking at this like, this is all you've got? This is what I used to live for, essentially. So he as like this guy's trying to feed him a bit of food, I'm probably not going to put this up on screen just because of the gore nature of it all. Rudo bites onto his hand and rips the skin off of this dude's fingers with his teeth. Now, this is, I reckon, even more graphic than if he just like bit the guy's fingers off. But the way he ripped his skin off, the dude's screaming back like, "Ah, get that kid! He's a monster!" But Rudo, he's had enough of it all. He's seen that even these people, he came from the slums of a land, of a world of people that rejected him. He's seen the anguish, the despair, of the true brutality of what humanity can throw onto someone. He's come down to an even lower place than the slums, where these people, you would think, even more share more of a camaraderie because of the stress and difficulties that they're living with, that these people might have some sympathy for Rudo. But no, he's seeing that everywhere he goes, people are just going to look at him like a freak. People are going to look at him like for his deformities with his arms. That is all people are going to look at him at. The only one they'll ever think different is Regto, and he's dead. So in rage, the chains come ripping off. All of the items, the inanimate object items around him, start floating in the air. We start seeing some serious power from Rudo here. And the chain that's wrapped around him transforms essentially into, it gets more of a spiky protrusion look. It turns red. He essentially does what Enjin does to his tattered umbrella, turning it into a weapon. And he uses this chain to attack these 5-6 men that are trying to hurt him. And one of them is able to get in close enough to kind of kick the chain away, and they all breathe a sigh of relief that, you know, we're going to be able to beat this man now that we've got his weapon away. Because we later find out we come to know that this power is, the people that can do this are called gifters. And the weapons that they make are called, I wrote it down because it was on the wiki, I don't remember it being referenced in the anime, but vital instrument, I believe this technique is called. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if you've read the manga and it's called something else. But this giver power, they knock the chain away and they breathe a sigh of relief because his weapon's gone. They can get him now. But floating around in the air, these inanimate objects, is a tire. And Rudo grabs that and he transforms that as well into this spiky protrusion wheel. And he knocks all of them out with it. And Enjin is he's viewing all this in the background. So we know that he at least cares enough not to just let Rudo go to any unknown fate. Because he's stuck around to kind of see how this will proceed. And he's like in shock, like, oh my god, he was able to transform 2 weapons. Like, that's insane. So obviously this seems to be a power that people can only usually do to one. And the way Regto tells us that if someone cares about an object enough, a soul can be born in that object. I would imagine these givers only have one central weapon, and Rudo being able to do this is really rare, if not unheard of. But Rudo, in his berserk mode, goes to finish off this main perpetrator, the one that was like spearheading their attack on him, the one he ripped the skin off the fingers of. But Enjin stops him, like, you know, calm down, kid, it's okay. And as he says that, his power kind of rescinds. One of the bricks that was floating up in the air comes and knocks that dude out, so at least he gets some comeuppance on everything he was doing. But Enjin's like, you know, you have this fabulous power, come and become a cleaner. So I imagine that's kind of the term, like, giver is the type of people, and a cleaner is probably Enjin's, you know, what Enjin does for work, and a cleaner is probably people that clean these kaiju trash monsters. Just off the top of my head, what I imagine Enjin is trying to get him to become, and I imagine he eventually will. But Enjin's like, you know, you have so much potential. I had to see what you could do. I'm sorry that I turned you over to those bastards. But come and become a cleaner. And the end of the episode, the end of these 2 episodes, Rudo's just like, no. Why would I become a cleaner? I'm not doing that. No. And that's how it ends. But it was really great seeing this because we see that Enjin is going to be the first person other than Regto that Rudo can truly trust. Because he might be a bit of a scumbag, but he's a transparent scumbag. There is there's truth in what he is saying. He's not trying to trick Rudo like the way these men were, or the way Chiwa was, or anything like that. What you get with Enjin is what he shows is what you get with him, and that is going to be a personality trait that I reckon Rudo will find very, very refreshing. But that was the end of these first two episodes. It really, really hooked me. We saw the power system that I'm absolutely loving. It reminds Rudo's ability reminds me a lot of Lancelot in the Fate series, who is a berserker, because he has the ability, anything he touches becomes his noble phantasm. So it's very similar here to what Rudo can do, or Jack the Ripper in Record of Ragnarok does something very similar as well. We're not sure yet if Rudo's ability to do this is from his gloves. He turns them into his vital instrument to be able to turn other things that he touches into his power, or if it's something to do with his cursed arms that are allowing him to turn all these different items into Shikai. I'm just going with that for now. But we get Enjin's introduction, a great, one of the best introductions I've seen in a while. Love the character design of it all. I love the art of the characters in this show. If you've ever seen Medica Box, Medaka, I believe it was called, it was an alright show. The manga had a lot of interesting concepts in it, but that art style is very, very similar to for this anime. It also has a similar aesthetic to My Hero Academia, so if you like that as well, you'll love the look of this. It's the reason I watched it. I didn't even read the synopsis of it or anything. I saw the art style, I'm like, I'm gonna like this. And I 100% did. The fact that he's essentially in the Greek Tartaros realm, roaming around with all these titans, and he's found a common ally in here, where he couldn't find any ally in the human world, he couldn't find any ally in hell that he was living in, but he was able to find an ally in Tartaros. I find that really, really beautiful, and I like the way the author has gone about doing this. We see that the kaiju monsters aren't just these trash, just trash and nothing else, because they can shoot off these poisonous ball-like tailed beast bomb things that have corrosion and explosive abilities, which was really, really cool. So they've obviously got a lot of magic going on there. And I can't wait to see what these creatures are, what Enjin and his group do, and just see Rudo's progression to finally get his revenge, how his story arc will unfold. I can't wait to see it all. If you guys like this video, I'll review all the new episodes that come out, and if you really, really like it, I'll read the whole manga, and we can do chapter reviews and stuff like that as well. I'm assuming it's an ongoing manga, and we can explore the differences that are going on between the manga and the anime at the same time. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this review. I don't know how long it's probably been 35 minutes, like all my stuff. I wanted this to be quicker, but it is what it is. Guys, have a lovely night. Cypher out.